Hi and welcome back to the Books Everywhere. It's like 6 AM. Welcome to part 1 of the Scotland vlogs, and today me and Courtney are going to Edinburgh. We have a very long drive ahead of us and this is just part 1 of Scotland because we are going from Edinburgh up north and then back down to Glasgow next week. So today we're going to Edinburgh, we're staying overnight, we have 10 bookshops that we want to visit, so I hope you enjoy. First shop we went to in Edinburgh was the Waterstones on Princes Street, so it's Waterstones West End, and this is a 4-storey shop that has a wide range of fiction and non-fiction. Downstairs is decorated in a new kind of style with the light wood, whereas the other floors are the darker shelving that you can see and kind of the old style. This Waterstones was beautiful. It had a great selection of sci-fi, fantasy, graphic novels and manga, which we really liked browsing. It also just has beautiful windows, some really good tables as well that were curated. The Throne of Glass throne was on tour there as well, and it has a beautiful view of the castle out of the cafe window. Our next stop was Hare Books, which was a beautiful independent bookshop. It's fairly small but it packs a lot in, with a big fiction selection and a lot of bookseller favourites as well, which I really enjoyed looking at and browsing. The shelves were just absolutely beautiful and I really loved the table in the middle. From there we went to Armchair Books, which is a very narrow, very tiny second-hand bookshop with shelves and shelves and shelves of any genre that you can imagine. We didn't stay in here very long, it was packed and hard to navigate, but it had a big selection and it was interesting to have a look around. We then went to Lighthouse Books, which is Edinburgh's radical bookstore. This shop was absolutely beautiful. It had a mixture of non-fiction and fiction, and it had a lot of LGBT books as well, especially on display for Pride Month in the window and in the store as well. The back room was full of fiction, fantasy, and had some really lovely shelves and a massive table in the middle. It had a separate romance section as well, which was really nice to look through, and also had a room with a lot of non-fiction selections as well. Really, really beautiful. We then went to Blackwells, which was a massive shop with a brilliant range of books. Especially here we loved the range of fantasy books that were downstairs. There's a big basement with a range of fantasy, manga, graphic novels and young adult, and we absolutely loved that. We spent basically the entire time downstairs in the basement. Also had a lot of board games as well, but it had a range of other books on the other floors that we didn't explore. From Blackwells a bit later in the evening we did walk down to Toppings, which was an absolutely beautiful shop. I think this was my favourite shop that wasn't an independent, and it was my favourite shop for the atmosphere and the ambience. It was just absolutely beautiful. It has such a range of non-fiction and fiction, and it has so many hardbacks that you just don't really see around anymore. They keep a really well-stocked selection of hardbacks, especially signed editions as well, and it was lovely to see the range in here, and they have ladders as well, which is really cool. From here we walked just down the road to Typewronger, which is a tiny shop that had a little selection of fiction and non-fiction. I love the way they named some of the sections. You can see true crime is called murder. They also had some typewriters in here, and you can see another section was called tunes as well for music, and they had a lucky dip, which was cool. They're also attached to McNaughton's, which is an antiquarian bookshop as well. We then had honestly the best pasta of my life from Nova Pizza, which is a vegan Italian kitchen, and it was incredible. One of the best meals I've ever had. The next day we started off by visiting Room and Rumour's Coffee, and we had this amazing Biscoff cinnamon bun which reminded me of Legends and Lattes. It was raining, but we walked down the Royal Mile and walked down to Victoria Street where John Kay's is. It wasn't open because we were there quite early, but this looked like a very cute little shop on a really beautiful street as well. We then went down to Greyfriars Kirkyard, and we also visited Greyfriars Bobby, which was really, really nice to see, especially because we both read City of Bones by V. Schwab, and this is a setting in that book, in the first book in the series. And just outside the graveyard itself we have Transreal, which unfortunately wasn't open early on the day that we needed to leave, so we didn't manage to visit here either, although we really wanted to, but it was nice to be able to look in the windows, and we are a little disappointed that we didn't get to this one. And from there we walked back to the station and we headed out of Edinburgh. Hi, welcome to the end of this vlog, I guess. We've just been to Edinburgh, and you will see where we are and more about this in part 2 of the Scotland series, which I am now doing. But yeah, we've just been to Edinburgh, so I thought we would just talk about what we bought and how Edinburgh was. I felt like Edinburgh... I did not brief you on this. There's a lot to try and think of. Yeah. Edinburgh was interesting, like it was a very...
Yeah, it wasn't what I expected.
No, it wasn't really like... I think when we got off the train, because we got into Edinburgh Waverley, like we parked in Bathgate and we got the train into Edinburgh Waverley, which I would very much recommend if anyone's driving to Edinburgh to do that. And I'm glad I had that idea. And when we came out of the train station, we spent a while in a shopping centre that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
And then when we came out, I think it was kind of like, yeah, this is what we imagined.
That was kind of what we expected, yeah, because you could see the castle,
yeah,
lots of monuments, and it was very busy and touristy.
Yeah, there was somebody playing bagpipes just to top it all off. And like walking down Princes Street felt very like how we expected. And then as we spent the day wandering around, I think it became less and less what we expected. It's very much like a spread out city, and yesterday we kind of spent the day just feeling like we were walking around.
Yeah, it's very much, there's a lot you have to walk around, like big streets and big buildings. So
you feel like you're not really in the centre ever, really. I think we felt that probably a bit more this morning. It
was more this morning, yeah, when we went to, was it Victoria Street?
We went to Victoria Street, we saw the Royal Mile, like we walked down the Royal Mile. We stayed at the end of the Royal Mile anyway, but we mainly spent yesterday like walking around to the bookshops, which are really like away from the centre. So yeah, we like saw Greyfriars. So I think we did more like of the typical like touristy stuff this morning, which did feel a bit more like central, didn't it?
Yeah, that did feel more what I'd expected it to feel, what we did this morning.
Yesterday just felt very like spread out, and like there wasn't that much kind of going on in the centre other than what was like on Princes Street, I guess, was quite busy.
Yeah, like it was a very picturesque place.
It's so pretty.
With the buildings and like quite big like nature areas.
Yeah. And what I really liked was that you could walk like 5 minutes out and it's quite quiet. Like it's where we went for pizza we didn't have pizza, but the pizzeria we went to last night, which was amazing, was very quiet around there, and I quite liked that you could walk like 10 minutes and it would be really, really quiet. That was nice. And yeah, it was a really nice city, and I'd definitely go back.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place.
Yeah. I think it's just not quite what we expected in terms of like a city centre. It didn't feel very...
Yeah, kind of manoeuvring around it.
Felt odd.
Yeah.
Felt like we were going around things and not through things, and like we hadn't really seen what we expected from pictures of Edinburgh. Although we probably saw that a bit more this morning with Victoria Street.
Yeah, that was this morning. And I suppose partly it was down to us and partly how kind of difficult it was to get around is why we missed a couple
of bookshops.
Yeah, like they did close earlier and we could have like planned it different, but because we had to go so far out to some and like the way you had to move around the city did cut our time a bit.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is there's so much building work going on in Edinburgh right now.
It's just unfortunate, like, timing.
Yeah, like some of the, I think one of the big, like, bridges is covered in scaffolding and, like, sheeting at the moment. And some of what I imagine is, like, some of the big buildings are, like, covered in scaffolding. So there's evidently some, like, building work going on, like, more than one thing going on, and roadworks going on, and things like that. So that kind of, like, sometimes if you were taking a photo or whatever, you'd see, like, scaffolding or whatever in the background. But overall, would go back.
Oh yeah, like I'd go back for the bookshops.
Yeah, the bookshops.
And to give ourselves more time to look in other shops, because we just didn't have time for that.
Yeah, we were there less than 24 hours. And we went to
rushed.
7 or 8 bookshops. We wanted to do 10. We missed out on Transreal and John Kay's because they both closed at 5.
Yes.
And they didn't open again until 11 and 12 today, and we wanted to leave earlier than that. So we did miss out on those, but we did walk down to, like, where they both were, to see them. But
they were pretty central. There was so much we wanted to see on the outskirts.
Yeah, we just kind of did, like, a weird route, and because we didn't get there till, like, 2ish yesterday.
Yeah.
We didn't, like, have time in the end. What was your favourite bookshop? It's a hard choice.
It is a hard choice. I enjoyed looking around Blackwells.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest selection of, like, sci-fi fantasy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Blackwells was our favourite, like, selection.
Yeah, and then Golden Hare was just, like, it was a really nice indie.
Golden Hare was probably our favourite independent, I think both of us.
Yeah.
Just the design of it was really, really lovely.
Nice.
And the way the shelves were done and the kids area was done, it was very nice. And toppings I did love. Toppings was really nice for like the hardback selection.
Yeah, I just find it strange. Like it's really cool, like when you actually see, like, the shiny covers and the signed, like, wrap plate things. But, like, I just find it weird to look at. I just don't get it.
Because every single hardback in toppings is in a plastic wrap to protect it, which is crazy. And a lot of the hardbacks are, like, signed by the author, which is cool. And I think toppings was probably my favourite for, like, the ambience of the shop. And browsing the shop felt very, like, relaxed, and it was very pretty.
Yeah.
And we were there at, like, 7 o'clock last night as well, I think, so it was really like quiet as well in there, which was nice. And they did have quite a nice selection of...
There was a decent selection there. There was quite a lot there.
Of, like, different genres as well. So that was cool. But yeah, you will have seen all of these clips already. So we did buy a few books. Did you wanna start? With the Waterstones?
Yeah, this is what I got on there.
So we went to Waterstones first.
Which way round are they? That's upside down.
Did you buy the
2, 3?
And what's the one?
Yeah,
that was from
this was the series.
So, yeah. So Courtney bought the 5th season.
Upside down. This one. And
this is how we lose the time war. That's what.
Yeah.
You lose the time.
Because this was, I just kind of wanted to be able to pick up just a standalone, like, a short sci-fi type. From somewhere, and that's just one that's been on my list for ages, and I really wanted to let myself buy like a fantasy sort of series that I've had on my list for a while.
We are both the type of people who like to have a full series before we start the series.
For a while, like, I've just been buying the first one to see if I like it first, but then I never want to pick it up.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got the rest.
So I
thought I'd just treat myself to one that I'm sure I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, that was Waterstones. Did you get it from Waterstones?
I got the Sad Ghost Club Volume 3 from Waterstones, which, while I've been driving today, Courtney's actually read. She read...
all of them.
Yeah, so she's read 1, 2 and 3, because I bought my copies of Volume 1 and 2 so Courtney could read them while I was driving. I was listening to an audiobook for a bit. So yeah.
That worked out very well.
Yes, so I bought this because I had the other 2 and I didn't have this, and this one's come out quite recently and I need to read it, which hopefully I will read, and you can see that in the next vlog if you want to, if I manage to read this while we're away. So that was what I bought from Waterstones. The Waterstones was also very nice. It's like oddly designed in
Yeah.
that the bottom floor has been redone and the others haven't, so they're the older like black shelving. But it was
a really nice store.
Yeah, like a very big selection.
And the cafe, like the view from it was really nice.
The cafe is lovely, and the view is, because it's on Princes Street, the view is of the castle, which is very nice.
Yeah, it was really pretty.
So worth going in there if you're in Edinburgh. But then we went to, where did you buy your copy of Bunny? Oh, that was from Lighthouse. Wasn't it?
Bunny. I'm trying to picture it now.
It's from Lighthouse, I think.
Can't remember. Oh yeah, was that the one with lots of queer books?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That one.
I think Lighthouse is a radical bookshop.
Yeah, I think that's what it said on it.
And they had a big like LGBT selection. And also like fiction selection, non-fiction selection.
Yeah, they had a really good selection there as well. I really liked Lighthouse.
Lighthouse was really nice as well, like the design of the... I liked the big table in Lighthouse. The selection on that was on the table.
Yeah,
nice.
I like having a lot of covers to look at.
So yeah, that was from Lighthouse. You
Yes.
got Bunny. And then I bought Vivi Conway and the Sword of Legend from Golden Hare, which I've been seeing a lot about, and it's by the same author as Make You Mine This Christmas, which I loved. Completely different book. This is a children's, this is a middle grade book. And Make You Mine This Christmas is very much an adult romance, but love the author. This is an interesting one to buy while in Scotland because it's very heavily centred around Wales. But you know, I do love Wales, and I think there's a dog in here called Gelert, and if that is set around Beg Gelert, that is a story that I grew up with and grew up knowing. And I've been to Beg Gelert as well. I cried when I went to Beg Gelert, which if you know the story of the dog and the wolf, I was very emotional about that as a child. So if you know that, you'll know why. But yeah, I think there's a dog called... I can't see that on the back now. Thank you. I could not see that. A ghostly dog named Gelert who can talk. But yeah, I've heard very good things about this. So I'm excited to read it. It's also blurbed by Alma Nicol, which is exciting because we love Alma Nicol.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, so that's everything we bought in Edinburgh. It was very good. We would go back for longer and do more things. I feel like I would like to see the castle and the views from the castle, because you kind of just like look at the castle a lot of the time. Yeah,
I'd like to give ourselves a bit more time to really look at Edinburgh and not just, I mean, bookshops are great, but not just the bookshops.
Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed seeing everything. Anything else to add about Edinburgh?
I don't think so.
I feel like we've covered everything. I hope you enjoyed the clips of Edinburgh and all the bookshops, and yeah, look out for part 2 of this Scotland vlog series, which will be very different. There will be a part 2 and a part 3, which will be very different, so I hope you check those out after this if you want to, and yeah, I'll see you in another video. Bye.